Blair Air. We have Alan and Craig.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, you guys.
We got, let's see, Gus with Advanced Comfort Solutions.
Advanced Comfort, Gus. Perfect. Thank you.
How you doing, sir? I don't think I've met you yet. Carl, Nick Weller with Goodman. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
What company?
Yeah. Vasca, right? Yes. Okay, Vasca and then Air National. Yeah, okay.
Air National.
I can get you some pens. Yeah.
Carl or David?
Both.
Both. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good morning.
Turbo Air? Yes. Good night. Well, thanks for coming. Yeah, Turbo Air.
And you are? What's your name?
Jose.
Jose? All right.
All right, and then we already got this gentleman over here for Stay Comfortable.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a few
Have Donald.
Let me go find some pens for you guys. I don't think I met this couple. Perfect. Save their spot. I like you two sat up front. Thanks for coming.
It's my front row wants to grow.
You got Air Dynasty?
Yep. Got Air Dynasty. Perfect. Thank you. Ariana. Right? That's a pretty name.
We'll have some people. I am expecting a few more for sure to be here, but I don't want to make them wait.
Perfect.
So feel free to get started.
Go ahead. You want to do an initial introduction?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming. I was kind of getting to know some of you just now. I'm Nick Weller. I'm the area manager with Goodman in Houston region, so I manage all the outside salespeople who some of those salespeople I'm sure had some influence getting you here today. So we really appreciate your time. CI Web Group's a huge partner of ours as far as dealer web development, your just overall your digital presence, how the consumers find you in the digital space. Going to look at your website and how that correlates with lead generation. So Jennifer Bagley is our go-to with CI Web. And it's a pleasure having her here today. It's going to be a 2-day workshop, so we really appreciate you setting aside the time, especially before summer gets cranking. I think there's a lot of good information that you're going to learn in this training, so I'm excited to have all of you here, and I can't wait to see what happens after we finish 2 days of this. So thank you very much for coming, and have a great day.
Did you bring aspirin for them?
Aspirin? No. Should I do that tomorrow?
It's either cocktails or aspirin, one of the two.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? Good. Thank you for taking time out of your business. I'm Jennifer Bagley, CEO of CI Web Group. I have a few colleagues I want to introduce. I have Jamal Hicklin. Jamal's head of our project management team over our web design and development department. I have Miss Kathy Marshall, who's VP of Customer Service and Experience Training and Events. And I have Mr. Michael Hicklin in the back. My husband, road dog, and chief operating officer. This is what we do. We spend 9 months a year on the road, and we're teaching dealers how to grow their business through various digital tools, systems, processes, and so forth. So you guys, we have a lot of information to cover. This is an interactive class. I don't want anybody to leave without getting some things done that maybe you haven't done before. So part of this is going to be information, education, but also we're going to get down to business and get some work done while we're here as well. So hopefully everybody leaves with a really good understanding of where technology is right now, how to best leverage it for your business, and where are we headed? Why are we going to get there? So question for you guys. Hi, how are you? How many of you are dads? Yes. Wives? I have one. Okay. When you guys need something for your own home, what do you guys do?
Do it ourselves.
You do it yourself. We have Mr. Handyman in here. What if you can't do it yourself? What do? Can you do everything? What do you do if you need something?
Research.
Internet.
Okay. What else would you call that? Do you Google it? Yeah? Raise your hand if you Google it. If you need something. Okay, I got 100% of the room. So question, when you guys Google something, how many of you click on the ads at the top? I'll give you an example. How many of you click in this area right here? How many of you click here? How many of you click on the maps? Yes?
Sometimes.
Yes? Yes? Sometimes? Okay. How many of you click in the top 10 listings on the first page of Google? Raise your hands. Look around. You guys put them up if that's you. Okay. You need this information. So this is the most logical part of marketing, which I love. My background, I was VP of Global Logistics and Supply Chain Strategy for Nordstrom, Fossil. My background is heavy in operations, technology, systems, and processes, but I run a marketing and advertising company, so I have a lot of experience getting to hear how people think marketing and advertising should be done. But on the flip side, I'm an international speaker. I've been speaking for 15 years internationally, and I get to ask real people what they do, how they buy. And for me, being a process person, it's all about logic. Everything is about the simplicity of life. How do people really respond to and use the technologies that we have in front of them? I will tell you that in every speaking event that I've had for the last 9 months, which I've done over 300, I've asked that very same question. How do you search? 100% of the room says Google it. How many click on the ads? It's less than 1 in 100. Less than 1 in 100. How many click on the maps? It's always the entire room, but sometimes. And how many click on the first page of Google? It's 100%. I like those. I like that. I like having the logic behind that. I'd literally rather listen to a group of soccer moms tell me how they buy than most advertising agencies. That's real. Now, question for you guys. When you find a website on the first page of Google, if you look at the site and it looks bad, what do? It looks scary. Next. Back and next. Keep looking. If you can't tell who they are, what they do, where they do it, how to contact them. Okay, let's say the site looks good. Then what do you go look for next before you make a call?
Review.
Reviews. Raise your hand if you look for reviews so everyone can see. Okay, we've got all but 2. And then you'll make the call. In all environments, it's the exact same sequence in every shot there is. What do these guys have right here that these ones don't? Well, let me go back down. What do you notice the difference? Right. Okay. Little tiny things make the biggest difference in everyone's success in a digital environment. So do we have to be digital? Yeah. I mean, the way people are searching, it's changing. The majority of searches are happening now on mobile devices. We sit on our phones all day long, and this is how we're searching and Googling and looking for things at stoplights and in parking lots, and on every break that we have, we're face down, prime example, in our phones, and this is how we're managing our life. Now, that's changing even more because new devices are coming out that allow you to talk to a watch or ask Siri a question or talk to Google Home or Alexa. Yes?
How many people use the map rather than Google?
So it's 100% of every audience says that they use the map, but they say sometimes. Now for you guys, we'll dive into the maps and explain exactly how that works. But for a business owner, the map is only relevant in the city you have a physical address. It's not relevant outside of that. So it can't be the sole way that you market your business. So this process, this system that we're going through today is based on exactly that, a roadmap, a system of being able to do the right things in the right order at the right time. We refer to it as a 12-step roadmap. We've tried and true implemented this for the last 20 years, perfected as technology changes, as consumers start adopting new devices, new little gadgets and gizmos that they keep in their house. Does anyone in here have an Amazon Alexa or a Google Home device? Yes? Do you love her? You don't? Oh, I love her so much. She woke me up this morning. She told me when I needed so I think they kind of, the adoption rate just depends on personality styles. However, the way people are utilizing devices is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Soon you'll be able to say something as simple as, oh, my air conditioner is broke, and they'll recognize it, and they'll make recommendations. They'll make recommendations. Not only will they make recommendations, they'll schedule your appointment. Not only will they do that, but they'll allow someone into your home. Not only will they do that, but they'll allow somebody to pay a bill, all while you're doing something different. Where we're headed with AI devices and technology, self-sufficient in many ways. So whether you like the fact that technology is taken over or not, technically, if we only want to sell to ourselves, that's a small market. So we've got to be available to meet people where they are. We have to be available to be able to meet consumers based on what they like best. So question for you guys. How many of you would rather watch a video than read a blog post? Video, 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 video. How many of you would rather read a headline on Twitter than watch a video? None in this room. Okay, how many would rather read a book than listen to an audiobook?
I'm old school, so I'd rather read it.
You'd rather read the book?
I'm an audio guy.
Audio guy?
I drive too much.
Same here. I'm full audio. How many of you would rather manage communications via a quick text versus a phone call? Text, raise your hand. Phone calls? Okay. My whole point is, it's as big of an argument personally as those who love Androids, raise your hand. Apples. Okay, so you get my drift, right? Everybody's different. Everybody has a different little kind of reason why they think it. And the argument is almost like politics. It's about that strong when somebody is serious about why a personal phone call is better than text, or why a handshake and meeting someone face-to-face is better than a video conference and so forth. It doesn't matter. The reality is that we're in business and we're here to serve, and I don't think any of us are particular or should be excluding a community of people because they like a different device. Fair? All right, good deal. So we'll get rid of that. For you guys, this book is going to serve as our guide. There's a lot in here. It is almost as old as the paper it's printed on. We're in technology. This book was written less than 6 months ago. Most of it is still accurate, and it's missing a lot of new stuff because technology is changing so rapidly. You can't keep paper updated. So the beautiful part is everything that's in this book is also on this website. And all the updated versions are on this website. So it's hvacmarketingwebsites.com, hvacmarketingwebsites.com. So everything I show you in the book, we're also going to reference it on the website and get used to being able to go to the site to be able to get the most current information and so forth, references for the business. The reason this is important, we need to make sure that all of you are an option for the services you want to sell in the city you want to sell it. When and where people are looking. And you look good when they get there. The whole point of this entire class is as simple as that. Are you an option for the services you want to sell in the cities you want to sell it? When and where people are looking? And do you look good when they get there? That is the entire purpose of business and marketing. That's what we're here to do. We're here to make money because we're an option for the services we want to sell in the cities we want to sell it, where people are looking on whatever device they choose to look, and we look fantastic when they get there. Is that fair? Okay, that's the purpose and intention of this workshop and everything that we're going to do. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to go to, we're going to do a quick assessment of what we already have going on in our business. Let me get to here. I'm going to get you to 12 steps. All right, we're going to go to page 26 and 27. 26 and 27. To show you where we are on the presentation or on the website is I'm going under resources, and I'm going to go to HVAC Marketing Explained, and we'll come back to this in just a second. So for our own business, just so that we're clear as a group on language, there is a distinct difference between advertising and marketing. Distinct difference. And this will help you guys when you are speaking with any experts in the marketing and advertising world, is to have extreme clarity in between those. And the reason why that's important is because you guys are technically investors in your business. How many of you are the owners? Okay, so you are an entrepreneur, right? Would you agree? At some point, you sat down with a spouse or a friend or a family member and you said you can do it better. And you decided to dump all of your cash and your time and your money and your energy and your life into building a business. Why would you do that? You want more what? There's a reason behind it. Every entrepreneur has one. I want more, 3 things. Why'd you do it?
Money, security.
Money, security. What else? Anyone for time and freedom? Yes? How many of you feel like you have those? I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm with you. I'm speaking from a place of love and appreciation because I fully understand it. Oh, that's a good day. 18 hours? You got lots of sleep if it's 18 hours. So, and just to put things in perspective, I run an international agency. We have staff and resources. There's over 100 people on our team. They're stretched from California to New York, Texas to Seattle, North Carolina, Atlanta. We're all over. Plus, we also have offices overseas. We have had an office in Nepal, in Kathmandu area for the last 10 years. We've had 2 offices in India, one in Rajahmundry and one in Pune, India. And we've had those for 10 years. And we have a clock that runs for 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. And on the 7th day, we rest. We only work 10. So I definitely understand where you guys are coming from. That being said, we all did not do this just because we want to work 24 hours a day. And when we have a feeling that we don't have more time, more money, and more freedom, we need to do something about it. And that often gets lost in the dream of an entrepreneur. All of a sudden, we forget why we're here. We start making decisions based on fires and whatever twits teaching how to tweet. Next thing you know, you should be doing Twitter. We're listening to all these trainers tell us everything we should be focusing on, regardless of priority or time or process or where we are in our business, or most importantly, where we want to be. So if you work for an entrepreneur, if you know that their goal in life, when they did when they dump everything they have into this business, if you know that their goal was more time, money, and freedom, and you help them accomplish that, you help them pull from the business, you help them make a list of the things that only they can do, and work diligently to try and get them in a position where they can focus on that list. They can focus on those things that only they can do. The company as a whole will be more successful, the owners will be happier, and you will be rewarded greatly by helping them accomplish their dreams. And I mean that sincerely, because no one knows what it's like to dump everything you have into running a business, to quit your full-time job and your little paycheck and your benefits and comfort and everything that comes with having a job, and to just say, you know what, I'm going to take and I'm going to go into extreme debt in order to do this. I'm going to just dump it all in here. Give it a shot. So I say that as an entrepreneur, we need to think like investors, because that's what we're doing. We're investing in our life. And we need to make decisions like our lives depend on accomplishing our goals, so we cannot forget the ability or the reason why we're here. We want more time, money, and freedom. If that rules our decision making, we'll make better decisions in the business. We'll invest in better things. So being an investor, taking this right back to the difference between advertising and marketing. Advertising is a old school method to try and trade time for money, to try and trade dollars for leads. When you're advertising, this is the easiest way to know whether you're doing a marketing activity or an advertising activity. Advertising is temporary. That means when you run out of cash, when the campaign is over, when the contract ends, you have nada, zip, zero, zilch, nothing. Marketing, however, produces a result that's similar to compounding interest. The dollar you spend today is worth more in the future. So if I invest $50 in a YouTube video, what happens to that video a year from now? It's still there, and it's doing what? Is it growing in traffic, views, visibility? It will produce more over time. If I have a TV campaign and I spend $20,000, what happens when the contract is done? What do I have? Nothing. Okay? Give me another example of advertising where you spend, you run out of cash, or you stop spending, campaign ends, contract ends, and boom, you have nothing. Zip, zero, zilch.
Radio, billboard.
Direct.
Perfect. Pay-per-click. Absolutely. Pay-per-click. AdWords. You have nothing, there's nothing permanent from those activities, right? Give me an example of something permanent. Marketing. Produces compounding results over time.
A sign in front of your store.
A sign in front of your store, absolutely. I have it on your trucks too. What else? Yes? Website, absolutely. The pages on your website. Absolutely, every individual page. They're all independently worth something, depending on how strong the page is by itself. Absolutely. So you guys, help me with this. If I want to do thank you notes to customers, tell me an advertising version where I spend money and then it's gone. What would that be? Give me an example if I wanted to say thank you to current clients. Postcards, mailers, handwritten note, absolutely. Very personal, love it. However, technically gone after you send it. How can we digitize that and make it permanent, where you only do it once? Any thoughts? That camera in the back. So if I stood in front of that camera and I said, hi, this is Jennifer Bagley with ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. I just want to personally thank you for allowing my team to take care of your home this afternoon. If you or someone you know is in need of heating, air conditioning, or indoor air quality services, we would greatly appreciate your referrals. And oh, by the way, do me a favor, stop by our website, click the little reviews link at the very top, leave us a love note. We'll be happy to give you a credit towards your next service. And it's in a video. How many times can I use the video?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. They hear you. over and over and over and over, right? You can use this video. One activity produces results over time. It's permanent. So kind of give it, does that make sense? Okay, so there's a very, very, very fine and clear difference. Now the interesting part, I do these workshops all the time, and even after this entire session where everyone says it's not how I shop, I search on Google, I look at organic rankings, at the very end somebody still says, how do we do pay-per-click? Not saying it doesn't work, just saying there's a time and a place, and there's a rationale behind it. So do me a favor, on page 27, create a little checklist, and you're just going to check off the things that you're currently doing, you're currently investing in, on both the advertising side and the marketing side. If you'll just take a minute and check those items off.
Our page 27 is not like yours.
It's not?
We're on step one branding website. I think that was on page 5.
Let me see.
You do an introduction to 12 steps.
Oh, we have new books. Sweet. Page 7. Thank you. I'll get rid of that. Page 7. Page 7. All right. Page 7, and we're going to check off the items that we're currently investing in that are marketing related and advertising. All right, you guys. How many had majority of things on the advertising bucket? On the marketing? Advertising? On the marketing side? Yes? Okay. All right, so let's dive through the 12-step roadmap. So on page 6, it's right next to the one you're just working on. I'm going to do a cursory overview of these 12 items, and then we're going to dive into each one of them full force, down into the nitty-gritty and details. Hi, you guys. Hi. The concept or idea behind the 12-step roadmap is doing the right things in the right order at the right time. Effectively, it allows for accelerated results to grow from implementing those things which are dependencies on each other. What I mean by that is, if you have a website that's all broken junk, but you go spend money on search engine optimization, you lose. If you have a website that looks fantastic, but it has no content, you lose. If you have a website with great content and a great website, but your reviews are non-existent or not good, you lose. If you have a great website, your reviews look good, but the last time you posted content on your social media sites was 2014, consumers think your business is what? Closed. Okay? Every activity is dependent on something different. So when we do things out of order, you'll often hear people say that doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work for you because you're not doing it or because you're missing predecessors, things that needed to get done first or needed to be fixed first. And a lot of times it's decent thought as far as what we're going to do, but we just miss out on the execution piece on small details. So this is going to help line things up and make you more critical about what do I focus on first? Where do I put my time and energy? How many have no website in here? Perfect. You get to avoid lots of bumps and bruises and wasteful spending. How many of you have had many websites and keep redoing it over and over? And do you feel like you make progress when you redo them, or do you feel like you get pulled backwards or stay the same? Progress? Progress? Okay. All right. Step number one is just that. Step number one is your brand and your website. Your brand, obviously, is logo, your graphics, your colors, and so forth. Your website is effectively your store. That's all it is. It's just a retail store. And without content and other things, it's an empty one at that. It doesn't have anything. How long do you guys think websites last with as quickly as technology is changing? Any thoughts?
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years? Any other thoughts? Has anyone heard of, in 2016, Google came out with a huge new requirement. People referred to it as Mobilegeddon. It was when all websites were to be replaced. They demolished the technology that was prior to that period of time and said, you have to have your website rebuilt in something called a mobile responsive website. Did anyone hear that? Yes? Okay. And it issued penalties to anybody who didn't. At the end of 2017, it started announcing that another major change was coming. Now, meanwhile, between 16 and 17, there were hundreds of changes that occurred in Google's algorithm, in technology and requirements related to websites, design, development, and so forth. But another major change occurred. Did anyone hear in 2018 when Google launched another explosive change called the mobile first requirements? Not yet. Essentially rendered all websites prior to 2018 done. The technology that is required in a mobile first environment is very different than in a mobile responsive environment. Mobile responsive was essentially saying, hey, your website should work on one of these phones without having to stretch the thing out without it looking really tiny. You remember when you used to go to a website and it was so small you'd have to stretch the screen? Now it'd make you toss your phone out the sunroof, right? You're not going to do that. Well, because now the mobile users is 70+% of the total traffic on the internet is coming from mobile, and it's growing so fast that now Google is saying that you don't build websites for web and make them stretch and be dynamic. You build them for a phone and allow them to expand, which technically seems like it would be identical, but it's not. It's very different. So right now, websites are lasting for approximately 18 to 24 months. How long does it take to get a website done when you have them built?
18 to 24 months.
No. Yeah. Right. That's legit. So we need to, that's serious, and we need to address that. Websites are taking so long to get done, partially because of the agencies who are building them, partially because of the consumers who are buying them. It's a joint effort. And that's literally putting us in a position where step one is out of date the day it launches. Websites are almost like these books. I told you this wasn't accurate, right? Well, that's happening with websites. So we have to fix that. We have to fix that and get out of that environment because it's not going to get any easier. The more you guys as consumers, mom, dads, husbands, wives, homeowners, start using all these gadgets and gizmos, the more technology requirements are going to change. The more we're going to have websites that are able to be updated in new technologies and frameworks faster. You guys remember when there was Flash websites? Okay, they're gone, right? Technology disappears. Something called PHP 6, it's gone. It was replaced at the end of last year in 2018. It's gone. That means all new servers and new websites and so forth. So Next is going to be content marketing. Content is the most important, least budgeted for item there is. It's your voice. If you don't talk, can you sell? If we stop talking, we stop selling. Our websites, the voice is the content within it. Content contains text on a page. That's the braille that Google requires in order to determine who you are, what you do, where you do it, how to reach you. It's what consumers use. Google's deaf and blind. So on one hand, images and video and those things are great. On another hand, Google can only read braille at this point. So it's got to have the text on the page.
That's
Next.
why- sorry.
Yeah,
That's why
you're
I
good.
mentioned, I asked in a form of question, how many people use map to look for somebody rather than Google? Because I find myself, when I'm looking for somebody to do something in my house, using the map rather than using Google.
So, and technically they're combined. So for every audience that I talk to, 100% of every audience says they search on Google on page 1 in the organic rankings. Everyone that says they use the map says yes sometimes. So I need you to be very, very careful though. I don't know if anybody remembered when Google's home services came out. That's these ads right here. Okay, Google tests new things like this in certain parts of the country and abroad. So in Sacramento, the majority of these, that's when this test launched. It happened to all of our clients that were in the Bay Area in California and in Ontario, Canada. So we knew this was coming when Google launched these because it happened to all of our clients in a particular region that they happened to do a lot of testing. And when Google launched these Google home service ads, it eliminated the map. The map went away. So every single one of our dealers that was sitting in Sacramento, then Santa Cruz, then Santa Rosa, I'm trying to remember, Concord, it went all the way up in Northern Cal, that was only relying on the map, literally said it was like someone cut the phone cords on their business that morning because they only had the map and the map disappeared and it got replaced by 3 ads. So, and that's rolled out since then and it's evolved and continues to evolve as Google's doing those tests. But you want to be very, very careful. Never, ever, ever put your eggs in one basket, ever. Things change way too fast. For those companies, 3 of the businesses that we managed their website for them, but they didn't have marketing with us. They were only using the map, are no longer in business. So you want to be very careful of that. So people use all different kinds of devices and things to search. We need to be available on all of them. Okay? That needs to happen over time. So website first, content second. Next is conversions. So you guys, by show of hands, how many of you, when you go to a website, if chat is available, you will use the chat function? Okay? Almost everyone. How many of you are going to tap a phone number for a click to call and you're going to call the company? Okay? How many of you would, if you had the ability to schedule an appointment, would schedule time for somebody to call you because you're busy, you want to get it off your list, but you want someone to call you at a specific time when you've got time? Yes? 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 Okay. So, and how many of you would just fill out a general contact form on a website? I got no's and I got 2 yeses and a bunch of no's and some maybes. Okay. This is what I mean. Everyone is different and everyone has their reason and rationale. I'm not filling out a contact us form because I think I'm going to get my informations going to 900 different people and I'm going to get spammed and I hate the phone calls. I don't want them. I don't want anything going into something. I'm not going to fill my information out. So I'm going to tend to be someone that either uses the text, chat, maybe a phone call, depending on time. Let me ask you guys, for your home, when you're managing things related to your house, when do you get to take care of your personal to-do list? Forget about the business. When do you get to take care of the things that are at home, your priorities?
Never.
Never? Fair? I'll take that. When do you do it?
Evenings, weekends, whenever you
Evenings
have time.
and weekends. Fantastic. How many of you operate a business that's one of those to-do lists? When's your business open? Okay. I hope. It doesn't mean that you don't have to be open working 24 hours. I'm not in love with 24 hours. I mean, I know you're in Texas and it's hot as all get out in here in the summer. I get out of Texas during the summer and go to Seattle. However, you do have to be open to take an appointment 24 hours. You have to be open to schedule a time 24 hours. You don't have to do the work necessarily. Everybody doesn't need you to come at midnight. They'll take a day off work. They'll stay home for a half a day. But they need to be able to reach out to you, connect, and get a time on the calendar on their lunch break or on Tuesday to talk about whatever their problem is. So conversion systems, if you've got a beautiful website and you've got great content, but you can't convert because you don't give somebody the ability to chat or text or schedule or click to call, if those conversion systems aren't in place, what's the point of spending a ton of money on marketing? Because everyone's different, right? So next, local marketing. When you're talking, as of right now, today's environment, when you're talking to a device, those devices that you speak to are not going to Google and doing a general search. They're searching in the local map packs. They're searching on local directories, local marketing, local listings, citation sites. Okay, that is independently a critical part of everyone in here's business. Challenge is, those local directories, which there are over 2,600 directories, the way that those directories market to you to get you to call is they will often list you in the directory with inaccurate information so that when you call, they can sell you on a $250 a month service to access the dashboard so you can update your information. In addition to that, many of those directories are set up on a claim this listing. Do you own the listing or does someone else own the listing? When we go do searches to see, does a brand manage and own all of their directories, oftentimes we will see that it's your company information, it's your address, it's your website. Why is the phone number going to this other guy? Oftentimes the phone number is rerouted to a different company who's happily answering your phone calls and using your company's brand and name, but picking those calls up for you and servicing those customers. We see that all the time. All the time. Those are how marketing agencies meet their quotas to get calls, inbound calls that they need, is they will go claim a listing because you don't own it. They'll put their phone number on it, put their call tracking system on there, and show their client that they're happily making the phone ring, even though it's under your brand. Now that happens more, the larger your brand goes, the more of a target you are for getting scammed like that. The smaller your brand, the less. Usually that's just you not owning your brand and information. Make sense? Okay, we'll dive more into that in a little bit. Next is reviews and reputation. Reputation management, part of it is playing offense and part of it's playing defense. And then some of it's just dealing with the garbage in the middle, right? From an offensive standpoint, owning your brand on as many of the local directories and map sites, citation sites, and so forth, making sure that you own that, it's connected to local. That's offensive, making sure that you have complete ownership of your brand, your handle it's called. So it's youtube.com/CI web group, facebook.com/your company name. Those are handles. The more of those handles you own, the less likely someone can come in and snag them. In addition to that, monitoring or reputation monitoring is, there's way too many communication devices right now. It's sickening for me. It hurts my soul and hurts my stomach. So having everything, it just is. There's too many places you have to check and look. So having everything centralized so that you get notified every time somebody leaves feedback about your company. You just need an email. You need to be able to respond. There's a very small list of things you as a company should be doing. Everything else should get off your plate. So having those automation technologies and things in place so that you get a notification every time there's a review that's talking about you, all you have to do is respond. Your job technically is to run an HVAC company, grow an HVAC company, manage your hiring and your staff and everything related to that, produce an amazing service, make sure that the amazing work you do is documented in the form of a review. And if anybody's ever unsatisfied, you need to handle them from a customer service standpoint. Other than that, get paid, right? And the whole purpose of this entire process would be so that you can take some time off, a vacation, hopefully take 3 weeks, 4 weeks off in the middle of summer and not worry about your business anymore. That's the ideal entrepreneurial goal. Is that fair? Why? How come I always get a crazy
You
laugh?
said 3 or 4 weeks during the middle of summer.
I did.
Sounds fun.
Why not?
We have a policy against it.
We have a policy against it.
I understand that. So, if it was the goal, would you function different? If it was a goal, would you make decisions different? If the goal was, I need to be able to leave this damn business for at least 30 days and not worry about this thing, this baby needs to run without me, would you do things different? So why, yes, would it be nice? I know it seems impossible, but it's real. Have you ever woke up and said, if I could clone myself, that might be possible? What am I doing right now? What's in the back of the room right there? What am I doing? Raise your hand, Mike.
You're filming yourself so you can have duplication so you don't have to be everywhere.
I'm cloning myself, and I will not do a speaking event where they say I can't. I will not show up. I have no interest in going and burning through 2 hours anywhere if I can't digitize it. Because to me, 2 hours in this room, 8 hours in this room, 16 hours for 2 days, that's a lot of time. And while I enjoy being with you all, I also want the minutes to matter. And the minutes matter because they're digitized and they can be sliced and diced, reused hundreds of ways, and they can work for me while we go to Hawaii.
We call it no one-offs. You don't do anything for one purpose.
Absolutely not. And that comes from having complete clarity on what I want my life to look like. My business serves a function to produce a lifestyle that I enjoy. There's no reason that yours shouldn't do the same. You didn't start your business so it could own you. You might as well go back to work for somebody else, right? You started your business to support a lifestyle that you want something to look like. So whatever that is, let's get it, right? All right. My business coach, I have had a coach for years. His name's Tony Jerry. He's a coach to the top 500 CEOs in the world. He's the one that got me in HVAC. It was a complete accident. He couldn't do a speaking event, so I wound up speaking at a national dealer conference. This is 10 years ago, 12 years ago? 12? And now HVAC owns us. So, complete hoarders you are. I'm just kidding. But I love it. I absolutely love it. My coach made me sit through and create a mission statement. His entire strategy is as simple as 3 words. Without clarity, clarity being the first word, you cannot focus. Without focus, you cannot execute. You don't execute, you don't win. So I had to start with clarity, and clarity came down to I had to create one sentence that explained my why. Why do I do? And I kept saying, I don't know. I'm too young. I was in my 20s when I was starting that. And I kept saying, I don't know. I don't know. He was like, you're not going to start this without that statement being defined. So because I said, I don't know so many times, it turned into, I don't know, but I want the freedom to choose. So I don't know what I want my life to look like, but I want the freedom to choose, which means a lot of things have to go in place if that's the requirement. I want the freedom to choose. Okay, so depending on yours, coming up with something like that, your why'd you do this, that freedom to choose, or whatever it looks like in your world, that needs to be the driving force behind everything that you do, all your decisions that you make. And you need to stick to it. So, it's my spiel for a second. All right, so reviews and reputation. Now, next, social media. We live in a social world, and people live on these little gadgets and gizmos and devices and social things, and it's the filler of people's minds and hearts and souls and complexes and their need and their pride and everything else. So let's leverage it. We'll just call it that what it is. Search engine optimization is essentially the process of optimizing all of the things that I've just covered in order to make you an option on page 1 of Google in the organic spaces for the things you want to sell in the cities you want to sell them. That's all it is. Optimizing is complicated, but technically, if you did step 1 correctly, 2 correctly, 3, 4, 5, and 6, congratulations, you're 80% done with your SEO. So if you don't do these things or have these in place and you focus strictly on SEO, it's going to take you longer. It's not going to work as well. And a lot of times that's the challenge is somebody's going for website SEO, website SEO, website SEO, and they're missing the middle. And the middle's an important part of it. Google's a giant knowledge base and everything is interconnected, interdependent, and interoperable. And if we miss any of those elements, it doesn't work as well. Next, blogging. Google wants to know, are you relative? That means, are you relative to what people are looking for? Are you current, which is the frequency of new content being published in any and all environment? Ouch. Oh, I know that hurt. I just felt my shin. And are you trusted? Sorry, rub it out. Are you trusted? Which do other people love you? And that comes in 2 different formats. If we're talking about humans, that's in the form of reviews. If we're talking about websites, it's in the form of what's called backlinks. Backlinks come from local directories and social marketing and reputation sites. All connected. Next, step number 9. If we do these things right, we should wind up with an amazing database, and that database needs to be leveraged. We can't let go of or neglect or forget about the fact that we should have a database that's full of leads and opportunities and vendors and customers, and being able to connect with them on any given moment in a matter of seconds, whether it's through text or email. We need to have the ability to do that. So this is leveraging our database. Next is video. We got to start cloning ourselves, duplicating ourselves. Everyone in this room is an expert, and you have stories to tell. When I hear somebody talking and they're explaining what should have happened, what shouldn't have happened, why this ductwork is so bad, or why we shouldn't have installed this system or that system, or how somebody left a safety hazard. When I hear these stories, all I want to do is get them on film. I want to digitize them, because if that's what sells when you're in the home today, why not put it in a position where anybody can find it and listen to you anytime, all the time? If there were hundreds of copies of all of those moments and things that come out of your mouth as an owner, all your experiences and case studies and every piece of information you have, if that was available, could you do something else? Could you take a vacation during the summer? What if they could access everything that's in here? Anyone, your team, prospects, that's where video comes in. Step number 11, paid advertising. It has a place, whether it's pay-per-click, pay-per-call, promotional. We'll dive into why or when that makes sense. Next is 12. 12 is when you do all of these things right, your final goal for all of this is, let's get our customers off the internet. When you guys need to do something with your bank account, what do you guys do? You log on what? You guys go to Google and search for your bank? You go to your app, right? The ultimate goal is get your flipping customers off of Google. Stop that process. Get them off of Google, get them on an app. Now, is everybody going to download an HVAC app? Probably not. It's not that cool. But would they download a home services app where it was you and your top 40 recommended home contractors? Now you have an item of value, and now you are going right back to the square root and the grassroots of how business has grown. Referrals is being able to leverage your business and all of your partners, whether it's a plumber, an electrician, a flooring guy, somebody that does paint or countertop installations or roofing or gutters or lawn care, whatever it is. Imagine if you guys are my network and you're all in an app and we all sell something different. You're having your clients install it, you're having your clients install it, you're having your clients install it, I'm having my clients install it. What are we doing for each other's businesses? You're marketing. You're cross-marketing everybody's businesses, and that's kind of that's where we need to get to. All right. Does this make sense? The process. Okay. All right, so let's dive in then. Page number 8. So we're going to start off with the technology audit. You guys tell me, do you need a break? It's 10. You're good? All right. I'm not very good at the break things, so remind me if I just plow through it or you can head up. All right. Page number 8. We're going to do a quick-ish audit on what you guys have in place. Okay. And this is a good process to go through for everyone in here, not just today, but every single year you've got to do. Sometimes you need to pull up an Amex bill or something to see it. But first and foremost, current accounting software. Accounting software is going to be like QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online or offline. Make sure you notate whether it's online version or offline version. Any questions on accounting software? I'll bring this up just in case out of all these workshops, some of the things that come up with accounting software. Sometimes dealers will say, well, my accountant will only use the QuickBooks offline version because he says that the online version doesn't work. That is an absolute line of garbage. That's because he's stuck using a disk and we're past that. So if that's your scenario, you need to call them on it and say, if you can't do it, I can find someone who can, but we need to push through and get comfortable being uncomfortable, and we need to move to online. You guys need to have access to your financials at all times, and it should be as simple as an app. Sometimes the accounting software will include something that's more of a subscription system. So you may be using Payzer or something for a maintenance agreement where you've got people's credit cards on file that are automatically being charged. Is anyone auto billing monthly or annually or quarterly for maintenance agreements yet? Not yet? Okay, we need to get there. Sometimes I'll hear that the only kind of information someone will get on their P&Ls is paper printout. That's not acceptable. You have to have the ability to see the digital version of your financials at all times and see every line item, and your accountant needs to know that you see them and that you look at it, even if you don't know what you're looking at. Go in there and pretend. Keep people on guard. I've seen horrible scenarios for just wanting to put our hands up and let an expert take care of it, and that's a really quick way to get robbed. I'll just say it like that. Okay? So we'll address it. Next is a CRM system or a contact relationship management system. On the large side, this may be something like an enterprise application like a ServiceTitan. It might be Help Desk. It might be a small CRM. What else? What other CRMs? Zoho CRM. Salesforce CRM. Successware. Field Edge, yep, perfect. Okay. The CRM system and the accounting system are not to be, they're not the same. So if QuickBooks is your CRM system, we're in a bad position. We need to fix that right away. It's not a customer list, it's a contact list. So all of your leads and prospects being in a database that's siftable, sortable, usable is as important as a customer. If you have all of your leads and opportunities sitting inside a database for everyone who didn't do business with you but inquired at some point, being able to throw out different promotions, talk about new products, new services. I've got one guy who he's a little on the higher price. He's got enough business coming in and new leads and opportunities that his price tags are pretty high. And so he loses a lot of business. So he's got 2 different divisions, one that's pricing out new equipment installations, and he's got a really nice margin on those. And then for all the business he does not win, he doesn't get the installation business, he has a post-installation safety check that he will do if somebody else installs the equipment, and he goes in and sells maintenance agreements all day long to somebody else's clients. And they're all on monthly subscriptions. That monthly subscription pays all of his marketing fees plus. That helps him get through the shoulder seasons. All right, an enterprise resource planning system, that's where your Successware, Field Edge, Service Titan, they would fall in that. For a small business, do not get sold on an ERP or an enterprise resource planning system too early. Okay, having a piece of technology that you use 5 or 10% of is not healthy for any business. It's unnecessary. You don't need that yet. So having a simple dispatching system and a simple CRM that you use 80 to 90% of would be a lot better than spending a bucket ton of money on a big operating platform. Starting a business with unorganized data will hurt you later, and it'll cost more to get into a system. So if you're just getting started, you want to start with really good habits and practices of your data, because data needs to be able to move fluidly between systems as you grow. Make sense? You guys, what are you smiling about? Been in that.
Right there, where we started and we don't have organizational.
We need more email accounts, email
systems
addresses.
as you're speaking.
Okay. Okay. So, and these things will hurt you, right? If you're not collecting mobile phones, or if you're not sorting mobile phones versus office phones or home phones, then you're not going to be able to do text. You're going to want to, right? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to get 5 years down the line and be ready to implement text marketing, or 3 years down the line, and you can't because you don't have cell phones in a proper field. You also don't want to get to a point where you have everything, you have addresses, but you don't have email addresses. Because if you're trying to do email marketing, you can't if you don't have email addresses. Okay, so every piece, the earlier you start this, the better it is, the easier it is, the longer you wait. So if you're in a position now where you know you need to get those things in place, now's the time. It does not get easier. It gets harder. So do it as fast as you can, and we'll talk about ways to do that. All right, next. Dispatching software might be one of the ones above. If you have dispatching software or some kind of a scheduling software, there are differences in between the operation side of the business, dispatching, and sales side of the business, scheduling. Two different scenarios. Dispatching is performing an operational service. Scheduling is allowing a consumer to go to your website. It's midnight. They're trying to sleep, and they're like, oh, got to schedule an appointment with my HVAC guy. And they go to your site, and they laying in bed, and they type in, can you call me tomorrow at 2 o'clock? I've got a 15-minute window in between meetings. And they schedule it. You call them tomorrow at 2. So 2 different practices. You'll put them both on that line. Any questions regarding that? Okay, we'll dive in a little bit. Next would be current e-commerce software. So are you able to take money digitally? Maintenance agreements on subscriptions, being able to have people pay bills, buy products, order filters. Can they purchase anything from you, your website, online? Any kind of e-commerce. All right, next is your current IT company, not to be confused with the marketing company. IT people, being raised in a family of them, are the worst marketers on the planet. They should not be advising you on your website.
So they do with the technology.
So they will be someone who tries to sell you a lot of things you don't need. They will be who comes into your office and tries to sell you on a large analog phone system. Unnecessary. VoIP lines work perfect, and they travel with you everywhere you go, and they're mobile, so they're not hardwired into your office. They can move anywhere. They will try and sell you something like Microsoft Office Suite or Microsoft SharePoint and convince you that with Microsoft SharePoint, you're going to need a server and you guys can share calendars and phones and emails. Also unnecessary. There's an entire cloud application that is a heck of a lot less expensive and doesn't require new disks to be installed on every computer. Unnecessary. They'll try and sell you computers that have a disk drive. If it has a disk drive, you probably don't need it. You can be operating in something like a Chromebook, something simple, inexpensive. You can throw it in the water and you're still operational tomorrow. Thoughts, questions? Anybody experienced any of these things so far? Yes? Yes? Okay. All right. So IT companies, just be careful with them. You guys are entrepreneurs. We need to keep as many of the dollars in your pocket as we can and spend them on income generating activities, not accessorial technology. that is outdated. Current domain registrar. So getting very, very specific, a domain registrar would be like GoDaddy. This is someone that you purchased, a company that you purchased your domain name from. Your domain name is www.blank.com. This is not who hosts your website usually. Usually this is totally separate. This is just where you pay for your $12 or $2 annual subscription, or every 3 years or 24 months, whatever, domain name. Does everyone know who their domain registrar is? Do you have a domain yet? Okay, so you're only going to buy it from GoDaddy. No one else. And there's coupon codes. And cost you a couple bucks. And we'll go into the details regarding domains. Yes?
Can you explain why you want to buy it?
Yes. So who's your guys' domains?
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy, perfect. And you have a login and password to it? And do you know for sure you're the owner of the domain registrar account?
We pay them to make sure.
Do you pay GoDaddy?
Yeah.
Directly. Okay, good job. What about you guys? Do you know?
Yeah, domain is registered with cheapname.com.
Okay. Okay, so cheap names, you want to be careful. They're a reseller of GoDaddy domains. If they go out of business, your domain is going to be in limbo. So it would be better to have GoDaddy be your domain registrar, since GoDaddy works directly with ICANN, and there are hundreds of little tiny reseller shops that pretend they sell domain names when they're just an affiliate of GoDaddy. If they go out of business and the domain gets stuck in limbo, that can cause problems, big problems, like you never get your domain back. Somebody else can back order it. So it doesn't cost you anything to move it. It's called a domain transfer request. And on that line, I would just put in there a domain transfer request to GoDaddy. As long as you're the administrator of the Namecheap account, then you can approve the transfer. Then you're just safe. It's sitting in GoDaddy. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, what about your domain? Do you know your domain registrar?
It's GoDaddy.
GoDaddy? And you're the administrator on it? Okay. And you guys? GoDaddy? You're the administrator? You have logins and passwords? Okay, good job. Good job. And yours? GoDaddy? And you can log into it? And you guys?
GoDaddy, and I'm the administrator.
Okay, perfect. And you guys? GoDaddy?
I didn't bring the right person for that question.
What's your website address?
ValorHVAC.com.
Oh, gotcha. Here we go.
So it'll tell you who owns it.
Yep. So your search is called who. So you can Google GoDaddy who is or who is, and that's going to give you details. So your domain, yep, it's through Wild West Domains. Okay, so very, very important.
Bluehost.
Bluehost is a hosting company. They're also a reseller of domains.
Okay.
So if you have a really simple website, one without a big brain, you can host a website on GoDaddy or Bluehost and something like that. If you have a complicated website with a brain and a lot of logic, if you're using your website for marketing purposes, you would not host it on GoDaddy. Okay. So now, very important. When Google is analyzing your business right out of the gate, the first thing it's checking for validation is your domain details on ICANN. So if this information is all based in Arizona, but you're operating a Texas website, right out of the gate, that's a problem. So we want to make sure your domain registrar details are in and using the address of your physical business address. That should be also located on your Google business listing, your Maps account, and all of your local directories, and it should showcase on your website. So the phone number and address inside your domain registrar details needs to match your company information. The other thing is we don't want anything to be by proxy or what is it called? Private?
Yeah.
Right? So we don't want anything set to private. It diffuses the purpose of, you want Google to be able to validate your business, but if your domain is set to private, unless you have a crazy stalker or warrant, something crazy, you need it public. And that information, anybody should be, have a better version. Anybody should, crazy X, whatever. Everybody should be able to see that information is legit and on point. So we want to get that moved. We want to make sure your registrar details match all of your company's information. If a web company ever promises to set up your domain name for you, say no and run. Okay, they do that to try and keep you, hold you hostage. And when you decide you want to move or you want to transfer, you do not need to spend 6 months in hell trying to figure out how to get your domain from them. You need to, as the owner of your business, be the rightful owner and operator of all of your assets. You can give an agency access to go make some changes, and then you can change your password. Okay? But other than that, you don't need them to own it unless you got a lot of trust. And even then, I've seen friends and family and cousins and brothers and everything that have left, gone out of business, stopped managing websites, and it's been a problem all the time. Yes, sir. So all of this is prohibited. That means there's some kind of protection on it to not let us see who the administrator is. They've got it set up as a private registration, which we don't want it to be private. We want all this information to be your details, your address. We want you to own it. So at this point, I don't know if you necessarily own your domain.
Well, I'm supposed to, but looking at this, I got the feeling I don't, especially after what you just said, because they set it up for me.
Yeah, you don't own it. So
Does that mean we have to buy it from you?
no, not
Not yet.
okay.
Not-
So
Not necessary.
yes. So before you leave, on your next break, either sit with Jamal or Miss Kimberly. Kimberly is over our local marketing and search engine optimization departments. Or Mike. Pick one of them and sit down with them, and they will help you create a GoDaddy account. You're going to put in a domain transfer request. You're going to tell your agency that you need them to approve it. You're consolidating everything under one account, and you want to make sure that you guys are organized. You're not going to say you're moving, you're transferring, you're not going to say any of that. Just that you're getting organized. That's it. We're going to set up the GoDaddy account, get you moved over. We'll do the transfer request today, and you'll leave with that done. And then we're going to cross our fingers and pray. That's it after that. Does anyone want? Yes. Want me to look?
One question, how important is it for your website to be secured, to have the S?
It's required.
It's required?
Yes, it's required in the mobile first requirements by Google and available for penalty without it. Okay, good question. All right, so let me pause on that real quick on the domain registrar, and we're going to come back to these pages. Let's go to page number 15. Page number 15. So this is your domain registrar. This is everything we're talking about right now is going to fall under this domain registrar details. Let's get some information filled out. So this is an important benchmark to keep track of over time. So first is going to be today's date. Then next is going to be the length of time of your domain. So your creation date, you're going to put in the book under domain created on date is going to be 6/26/14. Not you guys yet.
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, good deal. Your expiration date is going to be 6/26/21. So that's going to tell you your years old. So go ahead and put your years old in there. Very, very important. You never want your domain to expire within 3 years. So whatever that expiration date is right here, we want to make sure that 21 would be the lowest period of time. And the reason is Google is determining how long you're going to be in business based on that date. So if that date says 2019, Google thinks that's it. You're about done. You're running out of time. So 3 years minimum. Of course, longer is better. It's something you're always going to have. So if you can go 6, great. Other things that are very important on your domain registrar, make sure that your credit card is on file. Make sure in this book or somewhere safe you keep track of your login, your password, your PIN number, and very important, do not miss this one, the last 4 digits of your credit card. Your credit card is going to expire. You're going to lose your card. If you think it's in your head and you're going to remember it, you're not. If you have to validate this and get into this account, they're going to ask you that information. If you can't find that card or it's gone or whatever happened, because we know we all lose our cards, that's going to be an issue. So they're going to ask that to be able to log into it. If you're setting up a new account, you guys will be setting up your GoDaddy account, your domain registrar account. Write all that stuff down when you set it up. Don't think you're going to remember it later because it doesn't happen.
When I work with customers, I'll have them place that the domain registration is going to expire on the calendar too, like a week.
Yes.
That way you guys can be, preventive.
Yep. Put it on your Google Calendar. We'll talk about Google Calendars as a recurring reminder. Make sure it's set up on auto bill on your credit card, that it's going to automatically charge your credit card. And remember, your card's going to expire. If you buy your domain name long enough, your card's going to expire, so make sure you are renewing it. All right? Last updated, yours is going to be 7/4/2016. And
constitutes an update. Mine is not so good, but yet we make changes on it all the time.
so 2 different things. You make changes on your website, right? So that's different than this. When you make changes on your domain, those are DNS server propagation changes. So if you change hosting companies over and over and over and over again, that's not great. You guys want to find an agency and you want to sit. You don't want to move. You want an agency that can grow with you. So they need to be much bigger than where you are, where you're headed, so that they can help you scale and continue to grow. You don't keep moving backwards. It might be a CDN change, a content delivery network change. So you guys should be operating on a CDN like Cloudflare. So that would constitute a change. Those are good changes. Those are okay. So some are good, some are bad. Might be a 301 redirect change. So if you have another version of your domain.
So this is not what Google reads to see if you're active or not?
No. Not on your website. So it doesn't want to see a website bounce from server to server to server. So all of these things, well, they all have some kind of an impact. The weight is hard to tell. All right. Good questions. Okay. Next, page 16. Page 16. Does anyone need help with figuring out their domain details or information? If you do, that's what we're here for. Jamal, Kim, Kathy, Mike, anyone can help you with those. All right. Next is hosting information. So your website host, it's a computer. It's something that your website sits on, and it's usually going to be different than your domain. So your domain is registered with GoDaddy, but your website is hosted with XYZ. So whoever your company or your website is hosted with, you'll want to know that there. Whoever is doing your hosting also needs to be taking care of or helping you with the maintenance on your site. Those are technical things. So on this, on these pages, there's always going to be a checklist. This checklist, the more of those items you have checked, the better off you are on any of these pages. So when you're talking to a hosting company, if you're like, I don't even know what to ask them, this will help you with the list. So we want to make sure you're the registered owner of your domain registrar information. You have administrator logins and password. I'm on 16. Your domain is registered for at least 3 years. We would check that off. Your domain is set up on auto renew with a valid credit card. You're utilizing an email address at your domain. Your domain details are public, not private, by proxy, and your correct business name, address, phone number are public on your registrar information. So the more of those you can check off, the better you are. If anything is not checked off, you need our help. Okay, we'll get it done on a break. All right. I've given you, yes.
Didn't you say something about our host shouldn't be our?
Your domain registrar and your hosting company are usually going to be different. If you have a older or smaller site that's not a real good marketing site, it won't matter. You can put up a little site on GoDaddy and it's not going to matter much. But if you have a site that's worth its weight, it's going to require more advanced hosting, maintenance, ongoing updates, and so forth to try and extend the life of the site to that 18 to 24 months. That requires maintenance. It's like air conditioning system. You can't just let it sit there. It'll rot and it'll stop performing. Okay. On page 17, under reference links, I've included the Whois link to get your domain tools information and also a scam advisor site to be able to check your domain for any kind of scams, spam, weird stuff, too many moves and so forth. So those are great tools to be able to check it. When it comes to hosting, so website hosting, you should technically all have 3 servers at all times. If you have a professional hosting company, you should have 3 servers at all times. One server will be hosting your live website. Another server will be hosting your development site, which is where your maintenance team, whoever's doing those regular updates, should be doing all their work and then deploying those to your live site as they finish them. And then finally, you should have a backup server. And when it comes to backing up a website, if you've got a killer website, the last thing you want to do is have something go wrong, which is highly likely on all sites, and not have a website anymore. So backups need to be, and what you would ask is, are you holding how many days of backups? So holding 30 days of backups, not hold and replace. So holding 30 days so I can revert back to 1 week or 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 18 days, 30 days. That's what you need to have. Anything outside of that, it's not when it'll be a problem. It's not if, it's when. There will be an issue at some point. You want to have that in place.
One was live, what?
So one is live, and they're on here, this little chart right here. So that is, you have a development server,
Okay.
a staging server, and a development server are technically the same thing, just one is when you're first getting started. Your staging is what it changes to as it moves into maintenance.
Okay.
And then a live server and a backup server. And those are things you'd want to ask your company. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay, so we'll flip over to 18. Here's your checklist when it comes to figuring out how well your site hosting plan is moving or working. One is if you have a backup server that keeps daily holds, not replaced, then go ahead and check that off. If you don't know, leave it open and you can put a question mark next to it to check. Do you have a dev or staging server for regular maintenance? You would have some kind of a maintenance plan. So GoDaddy doesn't provide this. It costs $75 an hour for expert hands. Usually a maintenance and hosting plan combined is going to cost you around $100 a month. That's for technical maintenance on the server and back office of the site. It doesn't mean they're adding pages for you and changing contextual things on the front of the site, but are they maintaining? We're trying to stretch the life cycle. It's like from the day you launch a website, it's on life support. So if you haven't gotten a good maintenance plan, we're trying to just keep it running as long as we can. Optimal performance. Do you have a live site server? If you've got a live website, you have a live site server. You can check that one off. That's an easy win. Next is, do you have a CDN or content delivery network? That's something to ask your hosting company. A CDN is necessary for many reasons. Essentially, Cloudflare is a CDN. What it does is it protects your DNS or your records from spammers, hackers, so they can't easily access where your website is hosted. Secondly, it helps your site load faster because a content delivery network or a CDN, they have servers all over the entire world. So if you pull up the site from your house, it pulls a copy of your site from a location that's local to you instead of wherever your server is. So if the server's in Denver, they have a location or a server here, so it pulls faster. The faster your site loads, the better it is for SEO, the better performance for SEO, the more money you make. It's all connected. Make sense? Okay. Next is your website secure with HTTPS? So I'm going to use this as an example. So anytime there is a website that is not secure, so A, we're not in compliance with Google, and secondly, literally there's a button on there telling consumers don't fill out any forms on this website. So what you would want to see, let me go look through here. So if I click on any one of these, so stay comfortable, same thing. It says not secure, no HTTPS. Let's go Mercury, not secure. Golden rule, secure but not Google's URL structure. So we're halfway there. So we're closer. I like that. So right underneath that is all searches must reroute to Google's preferred URL structure. If you read any of the Google Webmaster requirements, which will give you a total headache, Google has a preferred URL structure, which is HTTPS, that says your website is secure, / www.blank.com. So what's missing on yours is, if I type in www, it reroutes to HTTPS without the W's. So if somebody is backlinking to your site or someone's got a link on their website that doesn't follow this, if it has the W's in the middle, Google thinks your site with the W's and without the W's are two different things. So 50% of the power that can be passed to your website through backlinks, you only have half of it. So we always want to have one website structure, which is HTTPS / www.blank.com. Everyone is a .com in here? Okay. If anyone advises you on buying .nets, .co's, .anything else, don't even bother. Very rarely are you going to see anything that's not a .com sitting on page 1 of Google. Very rarely. Might be an edu or a gov. That's about it. Okay. Secure needs 301 redirects. Here's the great part about this. It's free. So this is often what happens when you have different team members. Let me put it this way. If you have an IT company set up your domain, and then you have a different company build your website, and then you have a different company do your SEO, if they're not managed by the same brute force manager, then they do things to hurt each other and don't know it, and no one's holding them accountable because you're not asking, right? Your SEO team needs to be able to tell your server team, don't set it up on the server like that, fix that, you're hurting my SEO work. They need to be able to yell at each other. Kim's over there nodding like crazy because that's part of what she does, is she communicates with all these different departments and says, hop to it. Don't slow down my results. Okay. So this is a perfect setup. Air National Texas, HTTPS, W's.com. If I get rid of this, it's going to reroute, I'm sure. Automatic reroute, 301 redirect. If I get rid of the security, automatically reroutes. That's a perfect setup on a server. That's what you want it to look like. And it's secure. Okay, love that. So you could check all of those on there. And if it says you have a 301 redirect, that's what these are. When I get rid of something, an element of it, and it automatically reroutes, that's what a 301 redirect is. 301 redirects are free and to be used lightly, only for this. So if you buy 20 different domain names because you think they're cool domain names, AC Paris, Texas, don't start setting up 301 redirects to point all those URLs there, because Google doesn't want 301 redirects on sites unless they're necessary for routing one primary site. So you don't want a whole bunch of domains pointing at one site. That'll hurt your results. Make sense? Good?
Yeah. You get a shit again.
Okay. All right. Now, this search site colon website address. Okay, that's your friend. This is your friend for 101 reasons. I can literally determine the size of a business based on one search without knowing anything about them. Relatively close. I can see if they're doing under $1 million. I can see if they're doing over 5 million or somewhere in the middle. The reason is this is showing the total number of indexed pages for this website. So on here it says your live site is set to index and follow. Let me go I'm going to check a bunch of them. 17. 75. 46. That's a GoDaddy site. 4. 75. Did I already do this? Oops. 17. 14. That number is the number of indexed pages inside Google's filing system for that particular website. Okay, and we're going to get into that in step 2, but effectively, if your website is the store, that number is the number of products you have available to sell. So think of it like a retail shop. If I buy this building and I put 14 products in that store to be able to sell, how much money can I make? So the lower or the higher this number, the bigger annual revenue of the company, period. If this has 500 pages in it, I'm probably dealing with a $3 to $4 million company. If there's 100 pages in it, I'm probably around $1.5 million to $2 million. If there's 14 pages in it, I'm probably around $250,000. Am I close? Okay. I can tell the size of any business. The beautiful part about marketing and winning is it's all math. That is going to make it so much easier so people can't BS you. So all math is great because you can win, right? If I know the rules and I can see math, we can win. We're nerds. We love this stuff. We're like, it's a math game, so we can see it. We sleep and see all these numbers in our head, and we're like, okay, I want to take that over. I can get it. So this is telling you what you're available to do. The lower the number, smaller the business. Higher the number, the bigger the business. No different than if this is my store and I put 14 things in it, that's all I have the ability to sell. Now the labeling of those things tells me whether it's a good $250,000 or a low $250,000, right? If I'm on the high end, it depends on how I label things. Am I labeling things based on what people are looking for? So that's the fun part. Let's go back to the not so fun part. If I was to search for one of these, if it says one page is indexed by Google, it's either a GoDaddy website, which a lot of times it's 1 to 4 pages on a GoDaddy site, or the site is not set to index and follow, which, is there anybody's I haven't checked so far? What's your domain?
acs-tx.com.
acs.tx.com. This one? Okay, perfect. Let me just check. So for yours, you need an SSL. It needs to be set up on the server. You need 301 redirects, all of those, everything on that prior list, okay? And then site 23. Okay. So everyone in here is indexable. That's good. The last workshop we did, we had a guy that was spending $4,500 a month on marketing and his site was turned off. Meaning it specifically says no index, no follow. Google, don't come here. And he'd been doing it forever, wondering why they kept telling him it's going to take more time. Yes.
Can you check ours?
Yes. What's your domain?
Just Davis Mechanical GX.
Davis. Gotcha. That's a GoDaddy site. So GoDaddy should not build websites, but we'll leave it at that. So website building platforms like GoDaddy, Web.com, Wix, Google Sites,
WordPress, do GoDaddy, is that not yet?
WordPress is outstanding. WordPress is the largest, it's a content management system. It's not one of these tools. So WordPress through GoDaddy, now we're at a draw. But WordPress is a content management system is what everyone in here's website should be built on. WordPress is the best, largest. It's the largest content management system in the world. From the second you install it with no design, with no work from a developer or content, you're already millions in as far as the investment that it's taken for WordPress to get where it is. It starts off powerful. You have to really not know what you're doing to break it, which I've seen that a lot of times. Okay.
Can you check it out?
Yes, what's your domain?
It's,
Which
we're
one?
using a different one. It's acrepair-spring.com.
This one, right?
But
Okay.
it's Air Dynasty AC, actually.
Okay. Okay, so you have a 301 redirect. That's what that's called. That's pointing back to it. So it is set up on a secure server. It does have a 301. It's rerouted perfectly. And you have 49 index pages. So it's set up with the follow-in index, which is great. All right. This list is foundations. So if anything on this, which is we're on 18, if anything so far is not done, out of order, missing, we need to fix those things before you go spend money on anything else. If anybody's charging you for marketing and these things aren't done, then it's not even nice. All right. Website maintenance. So page 19 and 20, we'll go ahead and what we've done is make a list of, so when you're talking to a hosting company, being able to say, what's included in your website, hosting and maintenance? They should be able to rattle off a list. I've given you a list of the things that you should hear come out of their mouth. So you can check them. Now we'll flip over to 20. This is your audit list to say, is this included in my maintenance program? So are they removing spam well, first and foremost, the very first one is, do you have a help desk you can go to if something's broke, not working? Every website is broke at all times. I'll just say that. There is not a website on the internet that is not broke. Okay. They're all broke. The government's websites are broke. Everybody's websites are broke. Okay. It's whoever's maintaining them is prioritizing big time. They're trying to figure out what's more evil. Which one do I get the better performance on? Where do I spend my time to maintenance these things? All websites are insecure. There is no such thing as a secure website. Doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a secure server. Doesn't exist. You got billion-dollar companies working on security, and they can all get hacked. So, knowing that, the bigger your website is, the more of a target you will become. So if your website is small and has no traffic, then you're not going to be a target because there's no benefit, there's no fun in hacking a website that doesn't have any traffic. Can't do anything with that. The better you perform, it is actually a really good key performance indicator the more you get attacked. So the better your website does, the higher and more important security and maintenance these things are, backups and so forth. In the beginning, doesn't matter that much, but it will over time. So if you're getting a ton of spam, a ton of attacks on your site, so it's actually a performance indicator that says you're doing well. Sounds bad. Now, so it's just real. This list is the things that are necessary from a maintenance standpoint. So most importantly, do you have a help desk that you can access? You should have some kind of a support system where you can put in tickets, you can measure all your tickets, you've got an IT team. This is after your website goes live. Who takes care of your baby after that? So they're not going to be modifying and editing and changing your website forever and ever unless you have a plan for that. But they do need to host and maintain it, and you need to be able to send them a quick request if you see something broken or not working or something's looking funky, whatever the deal is, and they need to be able to respond to those and get those resolved for you. There is a big old list of things that should be included: your security management, your SSL, HTTPS on the right-hand side, database security, blocking direct access to your root directories, monitoring and limiting suspicious attempts. On any given day for one server, we will have close to 1 million attacks on one server a day, and it's our job to block them. We have successfully not had any kind of a virus in how long? How many years?
It's been about three to five.
Yeah. It's been a long time. So we've learned a lot of lessons and gotten better year over year over year. But these things are all the reasons why. Deleting and replacing plugins with known vulnerabilities. So if you have a hosting company and they don't give you access, if you do have a WordPress and they make you an editor, there's a reason behind that. A lot of times people will have access to be able to install things onto their websites because they look cool. WordPress has plugins, hundreds of them, and just because the plugin exists and it does something cool doesn't mean that it's safe. It was built by Vlad. He lives in the Ukraine, and probably not a good idea to install on the server.
Can I just reiterate, when we do give admin, you can just go delete it from the homepage. Like we have one lady do it 3 times, but we do backups, so.
Go back to yesterday. So if there's a reason, you want to know, do I own my website? That's a question you want to know. You want to know, can I access it? Can I make changes to it? You need to be able to make changes to it. You need to be able to log in. But sometimes they want to protect you from you. So they want to be careful. And just know what the reasons are. And if you guys agree on, I need administrative access, and that's fine. Just know what not to do. Use your help desk team to figure out if something is suspicious or not. Robots.txt files, site maintenance, sitemap, content distribution network, your content management system. Are you mobile first compliant? Are you cross-browser compatible? When somebody builds a website, remember they're not building a single website. They're building a website, and then they're reversioning that website so it works on Chrome and Safari and Internet Explorer and Firefox, and for Androids and iPhones on a 10-inch screen, a 7-inch screen, a 12-inch screen, a 14-inch screen. So the thing is complicated. It's not fun building websites by any means for you or the people doing it. That's the best thing I can say.
Hey, Jennifer,
Yes.
another common thing that may help them, when somebody's making changes on your site and you can't see it, then it's about clearing your cache.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll get into website administration, and that'll come up in there. So next page is 21. Website administration is the ability to make changes to the site over time. So you guys need to have access to be able to do that. You also need to have an agency at some point that can make changes. Why? Because websites shouldn't stay static. The weather changes. We shouldn't have a website that's got a bright, sun, and we're talking about air conditioners sitting in the middle of winter, and vice versa. The promotions need to be relative to the season. You guys technically operate 4 businesses in Texas. It feels like 2. But you operate 4 different companies. You have an air conditioning company, you have a heating company, and you have an indoor air quality company, and you have a maintenance company that's sitting in the shoulder seasons doing more of the maintenance activities. This site needs to reflect that at all times. There should be changes. It shouldn't sit and stay static and stay the same. You need to speak to the issue with whatever is going on with her home at the moment. So if she's laying in her media room trying to watch a movie and it's freezing all the time in that room, her toes are cold, her nose is cold, then you need to address that. But if she's laying in bed and she can't sleep because it's boiling hot and it's always hot in the room, you need to address that. If there's mold in the windows, if there's or energy bills are too high, if they're just buying a new home and they need to get an inspection before they get a clear to close, whatever the scenario is, we need to speak to people in their lives, not just promote a bunch of products. Fair? All right. You guys need a break? Okay, break time, 10 minutes. Grab resources while you need them if you need help with things. And we'll come back in 10. Good? All right.
11 o'clock.
What is it?
11 o'clock.
10 minutes. 11 o'clock. Perfect.